Hello everyone, it's Irene in here. So today I will try to bring you another demo of an Otome game. And I'm saying trying because I'm still sick. So I might actually need to take some breaks during the stream. So the name of this one is Eternal Glory. And this is from Nocturn, which I don't know because they have English, Korean, and Japanese. Oh, I think it's Korean, apparently. And another thing that I want to say is that they do refer in here that it has voice acting. But I don't know if it's because what we have in here is the demo and this title is still in an early access. Let me see it. Yeah. It's still in early access. So, developer complete such as limitations. Okay. For what I saw while putting the settings, I didn't hear any voice acting at all. But it is said in here that it actually has like the voice cast, and it is said in here that it has in fact, like some of them, it's even saying that it's fully available with English voice acting. Yeah, like I don't know, so we'll see how this goes. So you have like 3 love interests in here at least, and it goes like the unknown curse that befell me took away everything I cherished, my bright personality, the hobbies I enjoyed, my cheerful academy life, and even my beloved parents. 9 years have passed since that fateful day. For the first time, I returned to the ruins of the house where I once lived with my parents. And there I encountered 3 men. Sensing an unusually dangerous atmosphere, I hastily left the place. But soon after, I discovered a shocking truth. My goodness, those 3 men were the heads of divine organizations. Besides, the professor who disliked me at the academy suddenly offers to write me a recommendation letter to join one of these divine organizations. Amid the confusion of these inexplicable events, a thought crossed my mind. If they are the heads of the divine organizations, maybe they can lift the curse placed upon me. So I made a decision. No matter what it takes, I'll confront them and rid myself of this curse. Okay. And I have no idea about this one, and sometimes I have like an idea of how long this is going to take, but I have no clue. Okay, so we're going to do this together and we'll see it as we go along. Another thing that I noticed was that while I was going a bit further into this thing, seeing the oh my god, did this no, it didn't. Okay. While I was doing the this little bit, I noticed that there was almost no music at all, like at all. So yeah, there's also that. I don't know why they kind of like took all of the music and all of the voice acting and all of it from the demo, but I don't know, we'll see it. So hey guys, why do you think Annis always plays alone? I'm going to call her like Annis. Yeah, Annis, maybe. Instead of Annis, it's more like Annis. Okay. Was there a special reason? I thought Annis just couldn't play with us because she was sick. No, that's not it. Oh, then is there another reason? Please stop. I heard from Professor that Annis is cursed, and it's a terrible curse. A curse? What kind of curse? I didn't get to hear all the details. I got cogged by the professor and was kicked out halfway through. But if we touch Anna's, we might get cursed too. Gosh, then we shouldn't go near Anna's anymore. Of course, what if we catch that curse from her? At Schlieffen's outburst, the kids all took a step back from me. Some even turned their heads, avoiding eye contact. It was a vivid memory of sorrowful... why was it so fast? Do we have like... Oh, we do have a log. No, it's not appearing, that part. Okay. Something about like a curse from, 12 years ago or something? Did you saw it? I couldn't see it. It was too fast. You cursed freak, Annas. Schlieffen, who had always resented the fact that I didn't associate with my fellow academy classmates, eventually caused an incident. Who knows how much of the professor's words he had overheard, but he even managed to find out that the reason I always wear a glove on my right hand is to hide the mark of the curse. In this year's class, I had already been labeled as the quiet and gloomy one. Meanwhile, Schlieffen was an active student who participated in everything. Naturally, no one doubted Schlieffen's words as lies. But what angered me the most was Schlieffen wasn't lying, so I couldn't even deny it. After that day, I was branded even more openly as a cursed wrench, a bringer of misfortune. My life at the academy, which was already difficult, became so unbearable that just the thought of it made me sick. I don't want to go to primary academy. I don't even want to get out of bed. I wish I could just fall back asleep. That was the thought I had every single morning when I woke up. To make matters worse, now that Schlieffen had solid grounds, he soon began to bully me openly. Damn curse. But I couldn't properly fight back against Schlieffen. It wasn't just because my personality had grown gloomier by the day. I knew very well how powerful the curse I bore was. It wasn't a curse that only affected me. I was fully aware that just my presence could hurt or kill dozens of people. My parents never spoke of the incident from my childhood, but in the corners of my memory, I still retain faint recollections of the horrors. So if I let my anger get the better of me and lashed out at Schlieffen, all the students and professors at the academy could die. But in the end, the disaster I had feared came to pass. Stop it, Schlieffen. Wow, Anne, so you can get angry. Don't you dare speak ill of my parents. They are not people you can insult. That might be true. What? You seem to think your parents are great people, but who knows? How can you be sure they weren't talking behind your back? Right? I'm right, aren't I, Annis? What is this? That was my limit. Annis, are you crazy? I don't remember what happened after that. Schlieffen, get out of the way, hurry! Idiots, go tell the professor, Annis has gone mad. Madness, Let go of me, Annis. Sizzle. Okay. The sound of flesh burning and the acrid smoke filled my senses with satisfaction. Oh my goodness, Annis! What are you doing? Help! Annis is trying to kill me, Professor! Stop this at once, Annis! The professor's urgent shout and her spell restraining me were the last things I remember before losing consciousness completely. I don't know how things ended after that. I just lay in bed, staring blankly at the ceiling. But while I did so. I think I heard my parents, who had held strong despite being called here and there, finally break down in tears. I suddenly raised my arm. Sorry, it's just the mosquito right in front of me. Sorry. I suddenly raised my arm and stared at my gloved right hand, the one I used to hide the cursed marks. You know, I'm going to tell you something. Mosquitoes in here are the worst thing ever. Ever. And as I was trying to kill it, but I couldn't. And when I was in the US, sorry, this has nothing to do with game. When I was in the US, you had mosquitoes in there too. But you know, they would just bite me and I wouldn't even hear them. In here is quite the opposite. They do a lot of noise and buzz during the night. You try to sleep and you cannot. You know, you just cannot sleep with the freaking mosquitoes. And it was actually funny because during that time I was with my husband, ex-husband right now, but and he came in here and he was like, your mosquitoes are very different from ours, like I cannot sleep with your mosquitoes in here. And I was like, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's something else. I don't know why. I mean, mosquitoes are mosquitoes, you have them all over the world. Why do they feel different from place to place? Like, I do not get that either, you know. So yeah, that's why I was trying to kill the mosquito, because for me it's not even, when it's like that, you don't even care about the bites anymore. You just want to kill them because you know they are going to be a bother, especially during the night. You will not be able to sleep. And it's something out of this world, because it's like you hear them all night, then you just turn the light on and suddenly they disappear. You don't even see them anywhere. I remember them. I remember him talking about that also, which was like, how like, are your mosquitoes in here smarter than ours? Because we cannot find them. And I'm like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's exactly the same. Yeah. So I was trying to kill it, but I couldn't. I suddenly raised my arm and stared at my gloved right hand, the one I used to hide the cursed mark. Judging by the lingering burning sensation, I must have heard schliffen and sustained a minor injury myself. Feeling numb, I removed the glove that covered my hand. Through my blurry vision, I gazed intently at the cursed mark that had brought misfortune to me and my family. What does this mark even mean? What kind of curse has been placed on me? Why do these trials only befall me and my family? Ever since childhood, I've been to countless hospitals and begged mages to lift this mysterious curse. Once I even tried to scrape the black mark off my hand in secret. God, I'm going to... Why are they like this? Why do they do this? Oh, I was able. God, freaking mosquito. I'm sorry. Okay, let's continue. But it was all in vain. I'm still trapped by this curse. Would meeting the legendary gods be the only way to break this curse? According to myth, the three gods who guide the world actually stay close to humans. It's no use. Even after causing all this chaos, no one came to help. Not even the gods want to save me. I let my hand, once raised towards the ceiling, fall limply. All I could do was desperately pray for this hellish moment to pass. After that day, I no longer had to attend the academy. To be precise, I was expelled. Still, the thought of no longer suffering at the academy gave me a slight sense of relief. But every time I saw my parents clearly suffering greatly, every time I saw my mom and dad, who endured immense hardship because of me but never once showed it, The overwhelming guilt crushed my chest. Today I was on my way back from yet another hospital visit where I had tried to break the curse but once again gained nothing. The doctor kept insisting on digging into my pain, so I was delayed for quite some time. The sun was already starting to set, casting a dim light on the path home. Suddenly, I stopped walking. I didn't have the courage to return home and face my parents. Damn it. In the end, I turned away and hid in a deep, maze-like alleyway. As the sun completely disappeared, giving way to a pitch-black night, I leaned against the wall of the alley and silently cried. Out of nowhere, memories of my childhood surfaced, when I used to enjoy swordsmanship, magic, and meeting people. I was happy back then, so how did it all go so wrong? Ever since the curse worsened, I could no longer handle swords, magic, or even face people. I want to do those things too. Crying without making a sound had become an ingrained habit. I wiped away my quiet tears and absent-mindedly looked up at the moon hanging in the sky. Sadly, the moon was so bright. Anna's. Concerned that I hadn't come home until late, my mom and dad had come running to find me. Why are you out here, Anna's? Strangely, my parents had no trouble finding me, even in the tangled alleys. But I couldn't bring myself to reach for the hand my mom extended to comfort me. Realizing I was crying silently in the darkness, my mom carefully hugged me. Why? As soon as I felt her warm embrace, I broke down in tears. Why was I born like this? Why is it only me, only us, who have to suffer like this? I just want to live a normal life like everyone else. I'm sorry, Annas, but as you know, our Annas can't live a normal life because you are such a special child. I could hear the deep sigh of my dad and the quiet sobs of my mom. A special child. I never wanted to be special in this way. But my mom wasn't wrong. In the end, another disaster struck once again. The uncontrollable flames roared violently. Thrown out from the second-floor window, I didn't even have the strength to stand. Seated helplessly on the dirt ground, I watched my room, my house, consumed by the fire, and I had to witness my parents' final moments. Alice, never, you must... What are you saying, Mom? We need to get out of here together. Remember, no matter what, if you're discovered, our Annas will... You must survive no matter what. My mom's resolute voice echoed in my ears, even in the face of death. To save me, she helped me escape through the window. But the fierce flames didn't allow enough time for her to escape. Be careful when, if you have a fire, be careful with opening the windows. Of course, you will want to open the windows. But if there's a lot of concentration in there, when you open the window, there's a lot of oxygen that is going to get in there, and it's going to increase the fire and the smoke that you have inside of that room, okay? So it's kind of like, be careful with that. This is just a fiction line, you know, it's a sentence, but what I'm telling you is actually the reality of things. So kind of like, be careful with that, because there's a lot of oxygen getting inside and the flame is going to increase. Left alone in the room with my dad, my parents passed away. This place is still just ashes. Now an adult, I returned to the site of the incident for the first time since that day, after leaving the orphanage. I'm sorry, Mom, Dad, but just as you wish it, I'm still alive. I still don't know what this curse on me is, but there hasn't been a single accident while I've been at the orphanage. As I quietly muttered to myself, my voice began to tremble. I looked down at the glove I had worn on my right hand for as long as I could remember. Before I knew it, tears started falling one after another. I tried to toughen up and stop crying, but I guess I've still got a long way to go. Letting out a deep breath, I steadied myself once again. With a determined smile, I clenched my fists tightly. Who's this girl? Oh, it's a guy, sorry. Just then, I heard a strange voice. As I quickly turned around, I saw 3 men staring intently at me. When did these people appear? I didn't even notice their presence. So, Uria, I suppose. Was there anyone else sent on this mission, Ismay? No, Uria, this investigation is being conducted in strict secrecy, and I know the faces of all participants, but I've never seen this girl before. Doesn't look like she's one of us either. Excuse me? Who are you? Who are you? A strange silence hung in the air as we both asked at the same time. How did you find your way here? That's not the issue, Isaac. Hayes. Maybe Hayes. I don't know, like, many moments I feel like, but if this has like voice acting, they are going to adapt to a more English type of dub. Because Koreans are going to open the vowels, but if you put like in a more English way, they are going to be closed. And that's why I'm like, I don't actually know how to actually say some of the names in here. We'll see it. Whatever. Hayes. Whatever. The strange thing is that she's alive after entering the ruins of this burned house. True, if she were an ordinary human, her body would have started decaying the moment she stepped in here, but she seems perfectly fine. Fascinating. She must be a new type of human, unreported in any of the special cases. Excuse me, what exactly are you talking about? We are discussing how you're still alive. His immediate response was absurd, but I held my ground and continued. What are you 3 doing here? Got some business with my old house? Did you say this was your house? Oh no, did I say something wrong? I could sense the atmosphere shift in an instant. If you leave it here, then does that mean you were present during the fire? Are you a survivor of the fire? You could say that. All right then, let's take her in and figure out who she is. Hold on, Hayes, acting so hastily is unpolite. It's already been pretty unpolite. Miss, may I ask for your name? Before that, could you answer my question first? What brings the 3 of you here? The 3 men blinked in surprise at my sharp retort. Given the situation, we have no choice. Though this is classified information, it seems you are somehow involved, so I'll give you a brief explanation. We are here to investigate traces of the worst curse that struck this place 9 years ago. Even though curses are often treated as rare diseases, something referred to as the worst could only mean my curse. If I stay here any longer, they might take me away. I've already said my goodbyes to Mom and Dad, so I need to leave now. Since you said you leave it here, you must know something about the curse, right? No, this is the first time I'm hearing about it. I lied through my teeth. I didn't want to stay I didn't want to stay with these people any longer. My only goal was to turn and escape. Are you sure you don't know anything? We're in desperate need to help right now. We are in desperate need of help right now. Your testimony could be a crucial clue. I really don't know anything. You don't even remember what happened during the fire? No, I just woke up to find the house burning. How can you lie so blatantly? Enough, Hayes. If the lady doesn't want to answer, we can't force her. But Uria, this is something we must investigate thoroughly. Oh, maybe you'll say like Uria. Yeah, you'll say Uria. In that sense, this woman could be a key clue. We can't just let her go. I don't know. Like I'm kind of like leaning towards like or doing one thing or another, like opening or closing more in an English way. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. We could just grab her and take her with us. Why waste time with all this talk, Yuria? The silver-haired man looked quite troubled by their protests. Meanwhile, I was bracing my legs, ready to run at any moment. But then... Oh, I'm so sorry. Suddenly someone running from behind accidentally bumped into me. Are you alright? I'm really sorry. I was in a rush to report to Lord Uria. The person who was apologizing politely looked up and met my eyes. I don't actually know. Laurel is like a guy, a girl, I don't know. I've never seen you before. Did you just join us for this mission? Is that why you're with these three? No? Then how? I have no connection to any of this, so I'll be going now. Though the collision hurt, it gave me the perfect excuse to cut the conversation and leave. Not wasting the opportunity, I quickly bowed my head and walked away without looking back. Yeah, such an Asian thing. Like when you see like the bowing of the head, you're like, this is like an Asian thing. Yuria, you idiot, how could you just let her go? I'll be fine, Hayes. What are you talking about? Didn't you notice it wasn't by chance that Miss Laurel bumped into that woman? Okay, Miss. Okay. Thank you for understanding my signal so quickly, Laurel. It was nothing, I was simply doing my duty. Luckily, the tracking spell was attached without any issues. Wait, so you placed a tracking spell on her? You're as oblivious as ever, Hayes. Yeah, well, I've always been a bit slow. By the way, who exactly was that person? We didn't know either, so that's why we asked Laurel to put a tracking spell on it. Pardon? None of you know who she is? Looks like we've got another idiot here. God. That's why we put a tracking spell on her. We are going to follow her and uncover the truth. In any case, her situation can wait. Right now, we need to focus on the main reason we came here. Yeah, let's search the house quickly and return. We can't stay here for too long. Laurel, you can head back now. I've cast a protective spell on you, but being exposed to such a strong curse for long isn't good for anyone. Understood, I'll return first. But for some reason, that person seemed familiar to me. You think you've seen her before? It's been nearly 10 years, so I can't remember her face exactly, but I think she looked like a famous young student from the academy I attended. The academy you graduated from was Primary Academy, right, Laurel? Great, then we can ask one of the professors at Primary Academy. But that student was expelled. Expelled? Could a student even get expelled from Primary Academy? If I remember correctly, there was a big incident. Several students were injured, one almost died, and the entire academy nearly burned down. A fire? That's quite a strange coincidence. After all, this house, filled with traces of a curse, also burned down, didn't it? We need to investigate this more thoroughly. I'll send a letter to Primary Academy right away. We should also look into the incident Miss Laurel mentioned. Yeah, let's do this right. If we don't set a proper precedent this time, the very foundation of Akavuine could start to shake. I don't know. Akavine? Akavine? Maybe? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't even know in what type of language was that written. The name of the world we lived in, Akavine. Let's put it like that. Okay, whatever. Akavine. Akavine was a singular time and space maintained by the power of 3 gods. That's why when you have like the voice acting, it's easier because they already like give you an idea of how they want it to be spelled out. Okay. Although it's said that the 3 gods who once led Akavine no longer show themselves, their traces remained intact. The divine ministry, which carries out the will of the gods and handles large-scale administrative tasks, the Reaper's Corpse, guiding the souls of the dead so they don't leave the embrace of Akavine, and the Holy Knights tasked with protecting the realm of the gods. Yeah, I always say realm. I know you say realm, and it comes out like that. Because you have like, as I usually say, you have like places where you say in one way, places where you say in another way, yeah. All 3 organizations work closely with the gods, and entering one of them is as difficult as plucking a star from the sky. Many aspire to join, but not just anyone can. Each organization is meticulously managed, just like the strict personalities of the heads who guide them. I too, like any other child, once dreamed of joining one of the divine organizations. However, as the power of the curse grew stronger, rendering me incapable of doing anything, it was a dream I had to give up. But if I could find a way to break the curse, I would never have let go of that hope. Yet stories of the 3 gods walking through Akavine only appeared in myths, and no one anywhere had ever witnessed them. Because of that, I had to give up on many things, whether it was the path of an elite or the way to escape the curse. As I grew too old to stay at the orphanage, finding a way to make a living became my top priority. A primary academy? A letter suddenly arrived at the inn where I was staying. The seal of primary academy, stamped clearly, was truly unexpected. But what shocked me even more was the name written on it. Isn't this the professor who was the most eager to get me expelled? A professor who had no good feelings towards me suddenly sending me a letter after 9 years. Even going so far as to track down my location. Though I didn't have good feelings about the professor, I thought something serious must have happened, so I hurried to primary academy. Yes, it's been a long time, Ans. Hello? An awkward silence filled the air. Neither of us had ever welcomed each other, so it was to be expected. Meeting again after 9 years, I wanted nothing more than to flee from this place. I still vividly remembered how the professor had simply watched while Schliffen bullied me. Why did you call me here? Still, over the past 9 years, since losing my parents, my personality had changed considerably. I couldn't let my parents' sacrifice, made to save me, go to waste. So at least I was no longer the timid 12-year-old girl who cowered and couldn't stand up to the professor. Okay, so she was 12 years old. Yeah, remember that phrase that passed really fast, and it was like 12 years something, and I was like, I couldn't read it. So maybe it was that she was like cursed and had like 12 years old. Okay. So, is she like, how many years did he say it passed? It's like 21 maybe? I don't know. You look quite well. I doubt you called me here just to see my face, Professor. Right, it's best for both of us if we get straight to the point and say our goodbyes. So what is it? I plan to write you a recommendation letter. Why would you? You expelled her, and she was gone for 9 years, and you want to write her a recommendation letter? What the heck, dude? A recommendation for where exactly? Uh, well, there's no point hiding it, so I'll tell you the truth. I'm going to write you a recommendation to join one of the divine organizations of Akavine. Excuse me? What kind of sudden absurd nonsense is this? Why would you write me something like that? We haven't had any connection for years and now out of nowhere. It's an unavoidable situation. He keeps saying like, like this. Anyway, just be grateful I'm writing you recommendation ends. My recommendations are something just anyone can get. Okay, it's like, what's going on here? I'll write a good letter, of course, but is there a specific organization you'll prefer? The Divine Ministry, the Reaper's Corps, or the Holy Knights? She hasn't even decided where I'm supposed to go, has she? She? Who? What? I heard that in your childhood you had talent in magic, understanding the essence of souls and swordsmanship. Okay, oh, so the professor is a she. It's confusing. I am getting a bit confused in here. Okay. Because, like, there was, like, nowhere along the line, unless for, like, tidbits, where you can understand if we're talking with the person that it's a he or a she, or so it's like, what? It was the same thing with Laurel. Then they said like Miss, and I was like, oh, okay, Miss. And this professor apparently is a woman too. Okay, if the rumors are true, you'll do well wherever you go, so make your choice quickly. Sorry, but I don't think I can make that choice right now. Why don't you write me 3 recommendation letters, 1 for each organization, so I can decide in the future? You're as bold as ever, Ans. Still just as rude. If it's too much trouble, I don't need recommendation. Fine, I'll write them, so choose whichever you like. The professor, clearly irritated, hastily completed the recommendation letters. Of course, I didn't think that just having her recommendation would actually get me into one of the divine organizations. Someone like me, someone who can no longer use magic or a sword and has lost the ability to see souls, couldn't possibly join one of those prestigious organizations. Take them. In the end, the professor wrote all 3 letters and handed them to me. She waved me off as if she never wanted to see me again and urged me to leave the room. I too left Primary Academy without looking back. Honestly, the recommendation letters were useless, so I planned to glance over them and then throw them in the trash. Dear Uriah Mahel, dear Ace Caro, dear Ismay Heron, something like that. Huh? For some reason, the 3 names didn't feel unfamiliar. Come to think of it, those 3 people I met at the old ruins, they called each other Uriah, Hayes, and Ismay. No way. Those people were the heads of the divine organizations? Suddenly, it made sense why they were so confident, rude, and intimidating. Of course, they had to have someone powerful backing them to behave like that. Wait, does that mean if I join the divine organizations, they'll be my superiors? Since my first impression of them was so awful, I had absolutely no desire to work with them. And considering they were investigating my curse, I couldn't even be sure what my future would hold if things went wrong. Absolutely not, no way. I shook my head vigorously, trying to erase my thoughts of joining the divine organizations. As planned, I tossed the professor's recommendation letters into the trash and resolved never to look at them again. That night, until the cursed flames rose once again. How many times has it been? The number of times I've hurt so many people. a massive fire suddenly broke out at the inn where I was staying. My curse, which had been quiet recently, had exploded unexpectedly. I wasn't even angry or terribly sad this time, so why did this happen? I stared blankly at the flames that refused to be extinguished, no matter how much I tried to suppress them. In the end, the 3 recommendation letters were back in my hands. The curse that's eating away at me. The worst curse. We are discussing how you're still alive. We're here to investigate traces of the worst curse that struck this place 9 years ago. Fascinating, a new kind of human, unreported in any of the special cases. The 3 heads of the divine organizations were investigating my curse. Though they didn't fully understand the nature of the curse, one thing was clear: my curse wasn't having a positive effect on them either. That's why they were so determined to uncover the truth about it. More than anything, they have the power, the resources, and the information. Maybe if I cooperate with them, I can discover the true nature of the curse that torments me and even eliminate it completely. Even if it's a dangerous path, if it means escaping this misery, if it means I can stop hurting myself and others, then I'll face it head on. With firm resolve, I unfolded the 3 recommendation letters again, choosing the person who seemed most crucial to me. At last, I decided to stand by his side. Okay. So apparently this guy, his route, I don't think it's completed yet in the early access, so maybe the other ones have a bit more. Let's go to the first one, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, it's chapter 1. So we probably only have access to the first chapter, so it doesn't matter in here. Yeah, but apparently like they have like 20 chapters, each one of them. And this guy in the early access, I think he only has like 2. But the other guys already have their routes fully complete. I think it's kind of like that. This one I think it's complete. This one I'm not certain. And this one only has like 2 chapters. So which one do you want us to take a peek at? I think most people would go to one of these. So I'm kind of like thinking about going to the blue guy. The blue hair guy. What do you think? I always like to do something different. Let's go to the... I don't know why, but I think most people go to the white hair guys. It's kind of like a thing. And that's why I'm like, let's go to like a different one. Eventually I choose the Holy Knights. The Holy Knights, being the most powerful force among the 3 organizations of the gods, made me think that their strength might be able to dispel the unknown curse that has been cast on me. Of course, I'll need to find someone with enough power to remove the curse first. The thing is, no matter which mage I've gone to, which hospital I've checked out, or what I've tried, nobody's been able to break the curse. And when I think about who might actually be able to do it, the only person that came to mind is the head of the Holy Knights. Oh, I don't actually know if... Yeah, it doesn't allow you. Are you sure you want to overwrite your save? Oh yeah, because at the beginning, I think he tells you that, like, at each chapter, the game is going to automatically save. So it doesn't have slots. It just does it in an automatically way. But even if I join the Holy Knights, I'll probably be at the very bottom. Can I really meet with the head to talk about the curse? To even mention the curse, I'll need to build a relationship with the head, but who knows how long that could take. And what if the curse erupts again before that happens? I really didn't want to imagine what would happen next. But paradoxically, that's why I was fully aware of what it meant to voluntarily join the Holy Knights. Would the Holy Knights who guard the realm of the gods really turn a blind eye if they discover the curse that disrupts the divine order? That will never happen. If things go wrong before I can even figure out how to dispel the curse, they might kill me under the pretense of suppressing the worst curse. In other words, entering the territory of the Holy Knights under the watchful eye of their head, who is highly sensitive to this curse, was literally a gamble. It was a matter of life or death. Or death, sorry. So it would be a lie to say I wasn't afraid as I headed to the Holy Knights. However, I kept pulling myself together, stopping myself from turning around again and again. Think of the people who suffered because of my curse. Think of how much I've suffered because of it. My once bright personality, the hobbies I enjoyed, the happy days at the academy, and my beloved parents who were taken from me because of this horrible curse. And it wasn't just me who suffered, there have been many victims. Even the fire at the inn recently was a stark reminder of the danger I pose. Right, there's no turning back now. With determination solidified, I grasped the professor's letter of recommendation and took a step forward. Fortunately, this time there were no casualties, no injuries, no death. But I know I'll have to repay the debt for the accident I caused someday. With each step, the sharp corner of the notebook in my pocket painfully jabbed at my chest. I kept this notebook to record all the incidents that had occurred because of me. To record. Like, as I said, like sometimes I'm reading it and I notice, but I need to read it first and then I realize. Thankfully, nothing had happened during my time at the orphanage, but now that the curse had started flaring up again, painful entries would begin to fill the pages. I had made sure to record the details of the inn fire. I'm sorry everyone, I didn't want this to happen, even though it wasn't intentional. I really didn't want something like this to ever happen again. I'm sorry for putting you in danger because of me. Especially to the innkeeper, I'll make sure to compensate you for your losses. So please wait a little longer. Just a little longer. With the step heavy with sorrowful guilt, I finally stood in front of the bright building of the Holy Knights at midday. It was fortunate that the recruitment period for the divine organization was open, allowing me a chance to join. But unfortunately, both the professor recommendation and my own presence felt far from reliable. But I resolutely took a step towards entering the Holy Knights. But then it happened. As soon as I stepped onto the path between the lawns of the Holy Knights, a sudden, intense shock hit me, making my entire body tremble and my insides twist. Breathing, let alone standing on my own 2 feet, became impossible. I had to lunge over, trying to calm my startled body and mind. I had to hunch. Sorry. I had to hunch over, trying to calm my startled body and mind. This is also because it's like a serif type of font. As I usually say, not the best. Also, again, the thing of like going from one side to the other. It's just, yeah. I didn't run into anything though. Is there some sort of invisible barrier? But other people seem to come and go without issue, so why did I feel such a painful jolt? As I crouched and tried to catch my breath, a sharp, searing pain began to spread from the curse mark on the back of my right hand. Why is this happening? Even as I racked my brain in pain, I couldn't understand what was happening. There had been a shock when I passed through the barrier, but it was brief. The barrier hadn't completely blocked me, I had already crossed into the territory of the Holy Knights. And though the resistance of the barrier had caused a shock, it had quickly faded away. Yet strangely, only the curse mark on my right hand was burning so fiercely it felt like it would burst. This doesn't feel like the curse exploding, but I can't figure out what it is. After a long while, the searing pain in my right hand finally started to subside. Ah, are you alright? Huh? Just as I was touching the glove covering my right hand, still puzzled by the inexplicable pain, a man with purple hair approached me with concern. Anyway, that's all for the additional schedule report, Head. Huh? Head? What are you looking at? You didn't miss my report, did you? Should I explain again? I heard all of your report, Leo. Thanks for organizing it neatly, as always. But you don't look well, Head. Let's see, who is the person our Head is looking at? Ah, it must be that woman with brown hair. That's who you were watching, right, Head? Wait, why does that magic feel familiar? Ah, that's definitely Miss Laurel's magic, the personal assistant of the head of the Divine Ministry. Am I right, Head? Yes. Would you call it like that? Like head? Just like that? Like head? I don't know, it feels awkward to me, just head. Yeah, like in my language that would actually even sound really awkward to call a person like that. Like you understand that it's the person in charge, but at the same time, yeah, that would be really awkward to have someone be called like that. Yes. As expected, my intuition wasn't wrong. What, really? So does that mean that woman is the one connected to the worst curse you're investigating? The one you encountered at the house following the traces of the curse? I heard the head of the Divine Ministry instructed the professor from Primary Academy to write a recommendation letter for her to join the Divine Organizations, and that the head of the Reaper Corps pressured her. But even so, I never imagined she would actually come, even with a recommendation letter from a high-ranking professor. Joining the Divine Organizations is entirely her choice. And, of all places, the Holy Knights. Leo stopped there and guided that woman. Regardless of anything, since a person of interest has entered the territory of the Holy Knights voluntarily, we can let her slip away. Understood, Head. So hard. It's like, you have no idea. It's so awkward. It's awkward for me to be saying Head. Because I'm even imagining a floating head somewhere. I don't know how to put it. That's why I'm do you actually say it like that? It sounds so awkward to me. And this too, I know what it is. Okay, it's the head of the Holy Knights, whatever. It's just it's so awkward for me to be saying it like that. Yeah, whatever. I'll head over immediately. But where should I assign her? Should I place her somewhere close to you, Head? No matter how suspicious the person, the rules of the Holy Knights remain unchanged. According to the rules, assign her where you deem appropriate, Leo. Understood. You truly are a head who values rules the most. Sometimes you have this. It's just so awkward. It kind of reminds me of another situation, which is in Japanese, when I'm reading Japanese novels. You have Dana-sama. Dana-sama. And Dana, it actually can mean, the man of the house, but it also can mean husband. So it's it's so awkward when you are reading and this guy gets inside the house and you're Dana-sama, and you're that he's just calling the head of the house, like he's just saying that. But at the same time, you're like, yeah, Dana-sama also means like husband. So it's and I think it's like what I'm feeling right now in here, like, it's like head. And I'm just like seeing a head, it's okay, let's continue. So awkward for me. Make sure to act before she leaves the Holy Knight's territory, Leo. Yes, sir. When that woman entered the barrier of the Holy Knights, reacted with considerable resistance. That means she possesses a great deal of impurity, and even with the lowered standards due to Haze's increasingly questionable actions, the barrier still reacted. That confirms how impure her existence is. But despite that, the barrier didn't block her entry, whether because it couldn't or chose not to. She has been allowed into the territory of the Holy Knights. Not only that, the shock I felt on my right hand means she's a person of significant danger. And yet she entered the Holy Knight's territory without further resistance. What could this mean? Are you feeling unwell by any chance? I saw you crouching earlier, so I came over to check on you. The man with purple hair, dressed in the uniform of the Holy Knights, seemed to have approached me out of concern when he saw me crouching. Although the after effects of the shock still lingered, I could walk and I didn't want to appear unwell in front of a member of the Holy Knights. I forced a big smile and stood up straight. No, I'm fine. I think I was just a little nervous about joining the Holy Knights and my stomach felt a bit unsettled. Oh, I see. So you are here to apply to join the Holy Knights after all. Excuse me? After all? What does he mean by that? Glad to have you. We've been waiting for you. No, that's not what I meant. Anyway, I'll guide you to the application office. Please follow me. There's a map of the building inside, but since you seem quite nervous, I think it'll be best if I escorted you myself. I'll prefer not to take no for an answer. Please lead the way. He didn't seem hostile, but there was something, an indescribable cheerfulness about him. Regardless, I had no reason to refuse his offer, so I followed him to the application office. If I may I take a look at Anna's papers as well? If it's Sir Giffrid, how do you say this? I would say Giffrid, of course. From the moment I entered the application office, I witnessed quite a surprising scene. Giffrid, or rather the man who had introduced himself as Leo Giffrid, on the way was immediately greeted with a salute by the examiner for the Holy Knights. Leo returned the greeting politely and promptly handed over my application and the professor's recommendation letter to the admissions officer. While the first step of joining the Holy Knights proceeded, I stood quietly tense. Oh, he really is an interesting person. Out of the blue, Leo asked to review my papers along with the admissions officer and began meticulously going through my documents. It seemed clear from the deference shown to him that Leo held a rather high position. Meeting someone of such high rank by chance and walking with them to the admissions office was surprising enough, but his reactions are quite something. As he read through my documents, Leo's expressions changed dramatically, a sight almost more curious than anything else. After what felt like quite some time of his exaggerated responses, Sir Giffrid, do you have an opinion on Anna's application? I wholeheartedly support it. Especially since Anna's is applying not as a regular knight but as a trainee knight, and trainees can be anyone, so Sir Geoffrey, please be careful with your words. You wouldn't want to undermine the prestige of the Holy Knights. In any case, Annis, we have confirmed your passion for the Holy Knights and your commendable recommendation letter. From this moment, you are appointed as a training knight of the Holy Knights. The process to join the Holy Knights is much simpler than I expected. I didn't anticipate everything moving so smoothly and quickly, and I was momentarily at a loss for words. Yeah, I kind of understand. Like, you would probably assume that a recruitment for the Holy Knights would actually make you go like outside and probably battle with someone, and right? I don't know. Excuse me. Just as I was about to ask if it was truly possible to be appointed without a test of the swordsmanship skills, yeah, that's what I was like saying. Were you concerned that the application process was too simple, Ans? If so, don't worry, everyone feels the same way when they first join the Holy Knights. And like I said, trainee knights are selected first and foremost. What I meant to say, the Holy Knights aren't just looking for those skilled with the sword, we also train individuals who can protect the divine realms. As a trainee, you'll start with the basics, so don't feel too pressured. That's a relief. Even so, Ans, this is still the Holy Knights. Trainees, regular knights, and Holy Knights all have to take regular exams. And remember, if you fail the exam even once, you won't be able to apply to the Holy Knights again, so give your best effort in your training. But don't stress too much about the exams. I was once a trainee knight myself, and as long as you train hard, you won't fail. What I meant to say is... Anyway, follow me, Ans. I'll show you to the trainees' knights' quarters and training grounds. My first impression of the Holy Knights was that they were efficient and strict. But thanks to the extremely cheerful Leo and the strange series of events, it all felt rather surreal. As I was following Leo, now appointed as a trainee knight, I cautiously voiced a question that came to mind. By any chance, are you a regular Holy Knight, Sir Geoffrey? Oh, a regular Holy Knight. Those days are long behind me. I'm even higher than that. What, the head squire? What brings you here, sir? The head squire. As soon as we arrived at the trainee knights' training grounds, the trainees who recognized Leo immediately panicked and rushed to salute him. I couldn't hide my own surprise and stared at Leo, who sheepishly smiled before properly introducing himself. I never saw... since I've been reading all of these visual novels, and honestly, I read a lot of English books, but mostly reading these visual, I never saw this word being so much put into visual novels as I keep seeing in here, the sheepishly. I just keep seeing it. It's awkward because I read a lot of English books and I don't know, I rarely see this word put in there, and in here it's constantly the sheepishly. I know what it means, it's just I keep seeing it constantly. Sorry for the late introduction, Ans. I'm the squire of the head of the Holy Knights, Leo. I don't know if you would prefer me to say Geoffrey. I think it makes more sense if I say Geoffrey. Normally, a squire refers to the attendant of the knight or a regular knight, but the head squire holds a rank entirely different from ordinary knights. So when you said you're higher than a regular knight earlier, was that because you're the head squire? Bingo, that's exactly right. No wonder the admissions officer was so cautious around Sir Geoffrey. That explains everything. Anyway, since we have a new trainee, after spreading the news of my arrival as a new trainee knight, Leo left with a few parting words of encouragement to fit in well. Before I knew it, I had become a trainee knight of the Holy Knights and was about to begin my life in the Order. To be honest, you have a lot of catching up to do, Ants. The two senior trainee knights observing my training looked quite serious. They needed to assess my skills to plan how my training would proceed, so I drew my sword to show my current abilities. But having not held a sword in nearly 10 years, even the weight was overwhelming and my body, weakened over time, lacked any fluidity. In short, it was disastrous. At least your form when holding the sword is correct, Ants. But form alone won't cover the fact that you lack both strength and technique. On top of that, you seem to have very little confidence. Oh. No matter how much you overthink things, at least when you're using a sword, you can be timid. You should know that well enough, having applied to the Holy Knights. For now, instead of diving into sword training, I think it would be best for you to start with basic exercises and observe the training of the other knights. Yes, I'll do that. My arm, which had been holding the sword, was beginning to ache as well, so I had no choice but to accept their suggestion. I couldn't afford to strain myself or risk an outburst of the curse. Since joining the Holy Knights, my right hand, especially the cursed mark on my right hand, had been subtly but steadily burning. It wasn't a searing pain, but it was enough to gnaw away at my nerves, and as the days passed, I could feel a significant mental fatigue building. But I have to endure. I can't afford to collapse over something as minor as this. Despite that, I gave everything I had to hold on, hiding my weakness and pushing through each day of training. But effort alone had its limits, and eventually everything came crashing down. The trouble began during a training session when the accumulated fatigue finally hit me with a wave of dizziness as I was running with the other trainee knights. What the? Are you alright, Ans? During training, I suddenly staggered, leaning against a wall, and the other trainee knights around me expressed significant concern. Seeing that I didn't look well, a few suggested I head to the infirmary, but I knew it wasn't something that could be solved so easily, so I tried to endure the pain somehow. I'll just rest for a bit and return. You should go ahead and finish your training. Don't worry about me. Well, if that's what you want, Ans, we'll go back to our training then. But still, what can we do if she says she's not feeling well? It's alright, you can go. Well, I'm sorry, Ans. It's fine, don't waste time worrying about me. The hesitant trainee knights eventually agreed after one spoke up, nodding and heading back to the training grounds without me. Honestly, I was thankful they left, since having them around while I was in such a state would have only made things more uncomfortable. Yeah, there's also that, which is like, it seemed like her curse would actually act when she was kind of like close to the others. Remember that even Laurel just touched her and they were like saying that, oh, you need to like do something because the curse might already be acting on you. So it feels like that, which kind of makes me like wondering, well, but she's been in there with all of these guys. Aren't they going to be affected by the curse too? Left alone behind the Holy Knights training grounds, I finally collapsed, succumbing to the pain. Why is this happening? Not even during the most challenging times at a primary academy, nor just before losing my parents, had I ever felt this much pain. I don't have time to waste like this. After crouching in pain for a long while, it occurred to me that if I stayed too long, someone might come looking for me. Not wanting anyone to notice my condition, I forced myself to stand leaning against the wall for support and started taking slow, painful steps forward. Why is my vision so blurry? But my mind and body were in such a terrible state that with each step I took, my already blurry vision began to waver dangerously. In the end, Maintaining your physical condition is part of a knight's duty. Hearing a familiar voice as I collapsed into someone's arms, I lost consciousness completely. Where am I? I felt the cool sensation of a cold towel placed on my forehead to lower my fever as I slowly regained consciousness and rolled my eyes to survey my surroundings. But the makeshift curtains surrounding me made it difficult to figure out where I was. Still, after realizing I was laying on a bed commonly used in hospitals or infirmaries, I eventually understood that I had been brought to the Holy Knights Infirmary. Will I be alright from here on out? Not long after joining as a trainee knight, I fainted and had to be taken to the infirmary. After all the determination I gathered to join the Holy Knights, I'm already causing problems. What would people think of a trainee like me? Rather than meeting the head of the Holy Knights to remove my curse, it felt like I was already on the verge of failing the upcoming tests. If I fail the tests, I won't be able to apply to the Holy Knights ever again, they said. I came here to break free from the curse, but if I'm kicked out like this, what should I do? Just as I was gathering all my strength to hold back my tears, refusing to let them fall, that's when I heard. It seems she's just woken up. It's him. The voice I heard just before losing consciousness must have belonged to this person beyond the curtain. Whatever happens from here, I should at least thank him for moving me to the infirmary, so I tried to straighten up in the bed and prepare myself. Your fever was quite high. How are you feeling now? But the moment the person pulled back the curtain and entered, I couldn't help but silently gasp. With blue hair and striking silver eyes, this man was definitely the head of the Holy Knights, the one I met at the ruins of my old home. Though I had intended to express my gratitude, I quickly assumed a more defensive posture. Had it been someone else, I wouldn't have reacted so cautiously. But the head of the Holy Knights, the one investigating the curse connected to me, was a completely different matter. Especially considering the red-shirted head had nearly dragged me off before, there was no telling what the head of the Holy Knights might have done while I was unconscious. Even though I joined the Holy Knights to solve this curse, now was definitely not the time. Though this is our first formal meeting, it seems you already know who I am. Tensing up while recovering from a fever is not good for your health. I never expected to meet the head like this. However, your reaction suggests there's something more than just meeting me as the head of the Holy Knights. It seems you are worried about something. What could it be that makes you so tense, even while suffering from a fever? This is our first formal meeting, but we've crossed paths before. And no matter how you put it, I'm sure you recall our first meeting with 3 heads wasn't exactly ordinary. I couldn't be completely honest, so I gave a vague answer, but that seemed enough for the head of the Holy Knights to understand. If this is about the time I asked you about the curse from 9 years ago, then there's no need to worry about it now. While you were unconscious, I never acted on my own to investigate the traces of the curse we're searching for. The priority was your health, so I simply moved you to the infirmary. Aside from placing a cold towel on your head to lower your fever, I hadn't touched you, so there's no need to be so tense. Besides, it's clear from your complexion that your condition is far from stable. That being said, your fever hasn't gone down, so I believe I need to use magic to help you recover. However, according to Akavine law, unless it's a special case, we must obtain consent before casting magic on someone. So let me ask you, do you consent to me using healing magic on you? Even with my foggy mind, I couldn't help but think that the head of the Holy Knights, much like his squire Leo, was a strange and peculiar person. Few people adhere to Akavini's laws so strictly, and it felt incredibly surreal that someone of his rank was asking for my consent in this situation. Of course, for someone like me, who must keep the curse hidden, it was a relief. Ask him to only use the necessary magic, nothing more. So let's trust him, of course, because he's going to like it, yeah. Yes, I consent. And since you follow Akavini's laws so strictly, I trust to help you offer ahead. I believe you wouldn't go back on your word. I'm glad you've made the right decision, but once again, let me be clear, I have no intention of breaking Akavini's laws. That applies both to your case and the curse we are investigating. Unless there are extraordinary circumstances, I will handle everything within the bounds of Akavini's laws. I couldn't help but feel something strange. Since losing my parents, I hadn't been able to trust anyone. But for some reason, the head of the Holy Knights exuded an inexplicable sense of security. Even though this was only our second encounter, his firm and upright demeanor inspired a surprising amount of trust. Good, there's no need to be tense any longer. Seeing that some color was returning to my pale face, the head of the Holy Knight's voice softened considerably. However, suddenly a searing heat overtook my entire body and mind. Damn. Before I could fully comprehend what was happening, I heard the sound of the head of the Holy Knights drawing his sword, sensing something strange. And then, in the last faint memories I had left, I felt the vivid sensation of a sword piercing my heart. I don't want to die like this. An overwhelming cold, unlike anything I had felt before, seemed to freeze my heart. It wasn't that the curse was being quelled, it felt like I was being overpowered by an immense force. I will not allow impure forces to destroy Akavini. And with the commanding words of the head of the Holy Knights, a power beyond comprehension, I once again sunk into the infinite darkness of unconsciousness. Yeah, but I don't think we have a next one, right? We do? Okay, maybe we do. Maybe we actually do. Okay, so maybe they do like that, which was like they only showed us the first one. But apparently you can actually do more. Okay. When I regained consciousness, my body wouldn't move at all. It felt as if I was under a heavy weight, like being pressed down by an enormous rock. My mind was awake, but no matter how hard I tried, my limbs wouldn't budge. In the midst of this painful sensation, I tried to recall how I had ended up in this condition. I remember that the head of the Holy Knights had received my consent to use healing magic and had begun the spell. I could recall the feeling of recovery magic flowing into my body, but beyond that point, I couldn't remember anything. I could only guess that I had been gripping something desperately based on how my hands were still trembling. When I briefly regained consciousness, there was a sword in my heart. At that point, the head seemed to have used some other kind of magic instead of healing. As the head of the Holy Knights used an unknown magic, it seemed the curse, which was spreading from my mind and body, was instantly suppressed. Even now, my body continued to tremble as if it were still being overwhelmed by an invisible force. At that moment, I was fortunate to wake up. My physical and mental state wasn't great. If I had lost consciousness again, I might have been stuck in the infirmary for much longer. My heart, it was definitely pierced by a sword. Instinctively, I reached for my chest as soon as I woke up. I had been through a lot, but I had never experienced having a sword lodged in my heart, and seeing it happen right before my eyes was a shock. It hurts a little, but there is no blood or scar. But it felt way too real to be a dream. Ah! Suddenly my hand brushed against something familiar near my chest. It was none other than my leather notebook. The one I had been using to document the effects of my curse. So the sword piercing my chest was real after all. The notebook had a clear tear right through the middle, exactly where the sword had gone through. What in the world? This was more surreal than any dream. In a daze, I opened the ruined notebook. The first page, the one containing my very first note, was completely ruined. The entire third floor of the inn was consumed by flames. That single sentence brought me fully back to my senses. Simultaneously, a cold fear ran down my spine. Give me just a second. If the head of the Holy Knights hadn't intervened in time, hadn't taken swift action, then If the fire from the curse had reached not just the third floor inn, but the Holy Knights as well, the consequences would have been disastrous. My already trembling hands began shaking even harder. Good day, Anse. Good morning, no, I mean good afternoon. I'm not sure if you can hear me properly. Hello, Sir Giffred. You probably want me to say Giffred, but I don't know. Just keep feeling it. Are you alright? Yes, for now. I can tell you how relieved I am to hear you speaking clearly and even remembering my name. But what in the world happened? You didn't overdo it during training, did you? When I heard you passed out during training and ended up in the infirmary, I was totally freaked out. How are you feeling? I heard your fever finally broke after some time, but you were still unconscious, so I was worried sick. Yeah, this is like something that... Sorry. Like, this is something that I keep seeing, especially like in Asian entertainment, in all of it. Like, it doesn't matter, like TV dramas, anime, games, all of it. This thing of like, you overwork it and then you got a fever. And I don't know, like, it never happened to me. So, and I don't actually know anyone. I don't know anyone that got in a situation like this because of overworking. And let me tell you, I overworked because sometimes we would have to do like 2 shifts at the same time. And then you had to like just sleep for like 4 hours and go back again to 2 shifts straight away back again. And I know what it is like, what it feels like. I even had other people with me that were like doing straight, even worse than me. And let me tell you, I never saw anyone running a fever doing like that. They would just like, you know, feel very tired and want to fall asleep. But like, fall asleep. Actually, running a fever, it's something that I usually only see in Asian stuff. It's like, I know, yeah, your body can reach a point where it draws a fever because you are like so tired and so, but I mean, honestly, I've seen that. I passed by that, I've seen that, and I never had a fever, nor have I seen, and the other people, my colleagues, they were even, because I'm not the person to go to extremes in that thing. But they would go like for a week in that type of extreme. And let me tell you, I never saw, I would see them, of course, completely off in terms of tiredness and like really wanting to sleep. But like to the point where like you are having a fever, I never saw anyone in that condition. Never. From overworking, I never saw anyone like that. Never, never, ever, ever, ever. So every time I see these like in Asian things, I'm always like, is this really a thing? I mean, I guess you would really had to be like in a condition. I don't know. I have like no idea. You would have probably have to be in a condition where you were not eating, you were not sleeping, you were not, so your body would really reach that 0 point, because otherwise I don't know anyone that passed by this. And I don't actually understand why is it such a thing in Asian culture to put this. Yeah, I know people overwork in there too, and they even fall asleep on the ground on the streets. But like running a fever, I don't know anyone. I don't know. Whatever. Who was it who pushed you too hard during training? It wasn't because of my training. I think I just collapsed because I've been a bit worn out lately. The Holy Nights is a new environment for me, and as a training knight, I need to build up my basic stamina. So I think my body just reacted to the change. If that's what you say, then alright, I understand. I'm just relieved the treatment worked. We tried everything, nothing was lowering your fever, not even magic, but after many attempts, we finally found a medicine that suited you. But was there anything strange happened while I was unconscious in the infirmary? Huh? Strange? What do you mean by strange? Well, I couldn't exactly bring up the fire, so after thinking it over, I decided to mention the head of the Holy Knights instead. For example, did the head visit the infirmary while I was unconscious or something like that? What? No, absolutely not. Your fever only broke because we found the right medicine. The head didn't show up and magically make you better, letting the infirmary staff breathe easy. Yeah, none of that happened. Sir Giffrid wears his emotions all over his face. Absolutely not. I already know the head came by, Sir Giffrid. What? How did you... No, that's not it. The head has been buried in work and hasn't left his office, I swear. It seems like Sir Giffrid really doesn't want to admit the head's visit. But his reaction just confirms it even more. With all his emotions written on his face, it was impossible for Leo to hide the truth from me, no matter how much he tried to deny it. It was clear that he wanted to change the subject from the head of the Holy Knights to anything else. But I had to know the truth, so I decided to confront him directly. Even though I only met the head briefly, it seems he used some kind of unique power. I'm not sure if I should say much, but if you look at this notebook, you might understand. The moment I showed Leo the notebook with the massive tear in the middle, his expression faltered. As the head squire, I think you'll be able to sense it. I think it's like tear, right? Now that I'm thinking about, like, you have tear and then you have tear. Maybe I'm not saying it in the right way. Doesn't this notebook carry the energy from the head's powers? That's... This notebook should be enough to prove that the head visited me. At this point, I can't hide it from you any longer, Ems. Yes, the head did visit the infirmary to check on your condition, and during the time he did use that unique power you mentioned. I don't remember everything clearly from that time, so could you tell me more about what happened? I'm sorry, but I don't know the full details either. This time, the head didn't share everything with me. Leo's downcast response left me feeling disappointed as well. Even if the head of the Holy Knights came to check on me due to the curse he was investigating, how did it lead to a situation where a sword was driven into my heart? What did it mean? If nothing else, I at least wanted to know what the head had been thinking and how he now viewed me after going through such an ordeal together. I just wanted some assurance that my life was safe. In the midst of this frustrating situation, a long silence fell as none of us could find the words to break it. After a long period of stillness, I finally managed to calm my nerves and cautiously spoke up. Could I ask you what kind of person the head of the Holy Knights is, Sir Geoffrey? You don't have to give me too many details, but I'd like to know if he's anything like the head of the Reaper Corps, the one in the red shirt. Of course, the head of the Holy Knights told me he would never break the rules of Akavine lightly, so I already feel like he's quite different. The head in the red shirt? Our head is nothing like the head of the Reaper Corps. Those two aren't even comparable. And just to be clear, our head isn't comparable to the head of the Divine Ministry either. Leo's vehemently reaction caught me off guard, and I blinked in surprise as he passionately continued his speech. Our head is the strongest among the heads of the 3 divine organizations, but he never abuses his power. Not only that, as you mentioned, he upholds the laws of Akavine more strictly than anyone else. I had to agree with Leo's last statement, at least. Even the mages and doctors I had gone to in the past to try to resolve my curse often used magic on me without my consent. I never expected the head of the Holy Knights to ask for my permission. But that only made the hazy memory of the head using such overwhelming power on me even more unsettling. Can I ask just one more thing, Sir Geoffrey? Of course, if it's a question about respecting our head, I'm happy to answer anything. Does the fact that someone as strict as the head would use magic on me without my consent mean that the situation was truly exceptional? Absolutely, that's also written in the laws of Akavine. It clearly states, except in special cases, one must always have the other person's consent before casting magic on them. The unique power the head used on you falls under that context as well. For the head of the Holy Knights to use such power on a mere trainee like me, it must be because of my curse. It's strange though. The curse had been dormant for so long, so why now? Oh my goodness. You're finally awake, Hans. Gosh, when I heard you collapse during basic training and were moved to the infirmary, we were so shocked. The 2 senior trainees who had been supervising my training came to visit me in the infirmary. I felt both embarrassed and grateful, and for the moment I pushed aside my anxiety to greet them. The 2 chatted with Leo as well, checking on my condition. But they quickly prepared to leave, likely because they had squeezed in this visit during a busy schedule. I expressed my thanks and regret as they, along with Leo, prepared to say their goodbyes. But Sir Geoffrey, is it true that the head has cancelled all his appointments for the past 3 days and is resting? Oh, he got affected. What? Upon hearing the update on the head, I couldn't help but drop my smile and show my confusion. I heard the head hasn't had any particular strenuous tasks lately. He couldn't be unwell, could he? The news is true, but it does worry me as well. Just now. But you know how strong our head is. I'm sure he'll be back on his feet in no time. The 2 trainees didn't notice, but I, standing closest to Leo, caught his brief glance in my direction before he quickly averted his gaze. That small gesture was enough to make me certain that the head's recent break was somehow related to me. Eventually, the 2 senior trainees left infirmary after wishing me a speedy recovery. Leo, too, seemed ready to leave, having restored my damaged notebook and signaling that he would be heading out soon. Wait, Sir Geoffrey, before you go, could I ask one last favor? You already asked like 4 or 5 questions. What is it, Hans? I'm really sorry to ask this, but if the head is resting because of something I caused, I feel like I should apologize to him personally. but I don't know if it's appropriate for me to visit his office unannounced. So could you let him know that I like to see him? You are surprisingly interested in the head ants, not just in a professional sense, but personally as well. Why are you already saying that? She just wants to thank the man, dudes. There are very few people in the Holy Knights who show this much concern for him. It's not about interest or concern, it's that I need to ask the head directly about what happened. At the very least, I don't want anyone in the Holy Knights to suffer because of me. I spoke with firm conviction, countering Leo's hesitant reaction. Very well, I'll escort you to the head's office. After my earnest request, Leo finally agreed to help me. But remember, whether the head decides to see you or not is entirely up to him. I understand and keep that in mind. With a resolve nod, I slowly got up, preparing to head towards the head of the Holy Knight's office. Honestly, I don't think Leo expected the head to meet me. I wasn't really expecting it either, but... Surprisingly, the decision to allow me an audience with the head of the Holy Knights was made easily, and both Leo and I were taken aback. Thus, I was granted an official meeting with the head of the Holy Knights. However, the silence that followed as he gazed at me intently, without speaking, felt unbearably heavy. Still, I understood that his silence was his way of signaling me to state my business, so I hurried to choose my words. Bring up the cancellation of his official schedule first. Let's start by apologizing for causing him trouble. I'm here to apologize for causing you trouble. Is that all you have to say? No, it's not. Pardon? I'm asking if there's anything else you need to report to me. Yeah, he wanted the other one. Yeah, I understand he's like the practical type of guy that you just need to go directly into the situation. But I think it was kind of like polite to say like, well, there was a situation that I caused and I'm really sorry. If it's something I, as the head of the Holy Knights, need to know, be sure to tell me. Understanding the meaning behind his words wasn't difficult. He was implicitly asking me to reveal what I knew about my curse. But knowing how strictly he adhered to the laws of Akivene, I couldn't guarantee what would happen if I told him everything about my curse just yet. At least not right now. So instead of being completely honest, I decided to give him a vague answer. The reason you've faced difficulty, I think you're already aware of it. You are already aware of it. At least you understand that your presence is causing some complications. However, it seems you're not quite ready to fully discuss that matter, so let's move on to other things. You're aware that maintaining your physical condition is one of the knight's duties, aren't you? Then why did you collapse during training so soon after joining the Holy Knights? You must know that it's not a good sign for a trainee to show such a lapse in just 2 weeks of joining. Unless there's a valid reason, I can only see this as a failure to fulfill your knightly duties. So let me ask, does the curse you mention manifest through you, and are you unable to control it? It would be a lie to say I wasn't taken aback by the head's blunt question. In fact, I started to wonder if he might be even scarier than the other two heads who had only shown vaguely interest in my curse. But to address the issue, it's crucial to understand the root cause. Remember, my curse, the harm it causes, the damage it inflicts. And the head wasn't even asking for full disclosure about my curse, just a specific detail. From the start, it seemed like he was more focused on eliminating the curse than worrying about minor issues. Yes, I can't control this terrible power. It's heavily influenced by my emotional state, but more often than not, it just explodes on its own. It was the same when I harmed you, Head. It wasn't something I did intentionally, and I don't even clearly remember what happened. I swear, I don't want anyone else to suffer because of this curse. So you're saying that others have already suffered because of it. His next words left me unable to respond immediately. The mere mention of it stirred up a wave of guilt and longing for my parents, emotions that nearly overwhelmed me. If there's anything more to report, do so now. I'm sorry, you're right, but I don't think I can tell you everything right now. I still don't fully understand your stance on my curse or what kind of person you are, Head. Even if you were to explain your position, I'm not yet ready to trust you enough to tell you everything. Yeah, but I mean, girl, you decided to go in there and get help from them. Right. So why are you being so defensive right now? I mean, I would, in my case, I would just like, okay, I took this decision, and if I took this decision and I decided that these guys were going to be the ones that were going to help me, I wouldn't continue to just like, not trusting this unit. Do you understand? I would be like, whatever, I need to trust them. Let's see what is going to come out from here, Yes, he already tried to pierce her heart with a sword, but I don't know, like, I think it's because I have a logical mind. For me, it's more like, maybe she really is, how would you put it? Maybe she really is, like a menace to the others. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So, I don't know, maybe if killing her would be the solution, then so be it. But that's because I have a logical mind. Do you understand? I think like this. I'm not very emotional in certain things. So for me, it's more like, I mean, you took this decision, so why don't just like go and try to ask them for help and let's try to resolve the situation. But no, she's still like, oh, I'm better not. I'm not going to say. I don't know if I trust you. Then why did you went in there, girl? Why? I don't know. I see very well. At the very least, you've answered what I asked, and that's enough for me to consider this matter extenuating. However, we'll have to wait and see how your condition affects not only the Holy Knights, but your own future. I already knew this, but the sharpness of his straightforward words pierced deeper than I expected. I'm also very straightforward, so I don't get very sad about these things like usually the protagonists do. Like, they say something and they're like, oh, because he talked with me like this. And I'm like, yeah. But even so, the one thing I didn't want was to be expelled from the Holy Knights. But it is true, like, I don't know. I think it's also like because, as I said, like, I'm old and I already experienced a lot of things, like, especially during work, where you listen things that you don't want to listen, and critiques and all of it. So it's like, nowadays I just... I took all of it in another way, I think. It's kind of funny that the protagonists are always like, oh, he spoke with me like this. Oh. Yeah, okay. I'll do everything in my power to ensure that I don't cause any more harm to the Holy Knights. Yeah. Because he's a logical person and I'm the logical type too. So for me, it's like, if what he's saying seems to me that it's the right thing, I don't take it to heart, I promise I won't. Never again, absolutely never. Head, may I borrow a pen for a moment? While the head looked at me with a confused expression, I grabbed the pen from his desk and pulled out the notebook from my coat. Even though I could feel his pointed gaze questioning what I was doing, I calmly wrote a bold note in the notebook. After I finished, I showed him the second page of the notebook where a clear sentence was written. What is this? This notebook is for recording the pain of those who have suffered because of me. Recording. I always say it like that. Recording. That's why I borrowed your pen just now to write down that I disrupted your schedule. So, what is the ultimate purpose of these records to you? Do not forget to remember the pain of those who have suffered because of me. It's also to remind myself not to cause this kind of harm again. Of course, I can't always control it, so I haven't been able to keep that promise very well. But that's all the reason I keep this notebook. No matter what others might think, whether they believe I have some hidden motive or see it as a mere formality, my sincerity is all here. The technique of driving a sword into someone's heart while reciting a spell is meant to subdue the opponent, but sometimes the opponent's energy can be fully transmitted. The energy I felt from this woman when I used my power was tainted, filled with impurity. Yet the fact that my spell worked on her without resistance means she also carries an energy similar to mine. Could it be that the barrier allowed her presence here because it recognized her purity even amidst the impurity? A purity strong enough to counterbalance the overwhelming impurity. But these two extremes cannot coexist in one being, nor can they harmonize. One will inevitably be driven out someday. In any case, from what you've said, it seems your presence could bring misfortune to the Holy Knight, so I must continue the restrictions placed upon you. What restrictions are you referring to? You are aware that I drove a sword into your heart that day, correct? Yes, I know. At that time, I had to suppress the uncontrollable impure energy within you, and in doing so, I also had to suppress your magic. This means that while I am restricting you, you will be unable to use any magic. If you have any complaints or if you disagree with my actions, speak now. No, I have no complaints. I had already lost the ability to use magic long ago. In other words, whether my magic is restricted or not, it won't change anything in my life. In fact, I should be thanking you instead. As I mentioned before, I don't want to hurt anyone, including myself, anymore. So I'm grateful that you use your power to help suppress me. See, very well, then we will leave this matter as it is. However, I will need your cooperation one more time. To fully assess your condition, we will need the head of the Reaper Corps, Hayes, to conduct an examination of you. Will that be acceptable? But the mention of the Reaper Corps head made it impossible for me to stay calm. After a long pause, I finally managed to collect myself and raised my concern in a calmer voice as I could muster. But the head of the Reaper Corps doesn't seem to think well of me. In fact, it feels like he holds some hostility towards me. You're concerned for your safety, but you need not worry about that. Unless it's a special case, you won't meet Hayes alone. I'll be right there beside you during your meeting with Hayes, and if he tries anything reckless, I will immediately stop him. At least in that situation, there will be no danger to you. At least in that situation, does that mean there could be danger in other situations? In any case, I'm doing everything I can to find ways to minimize the damage your curse might cause. I'm sure you understand that cooperating with me is in your best interest. But I cannot skip the step of getting your consent, so I ask again, is this acceptable to you? Yes, I agree. There was no other choice. There was nothing wrong in what the head of the Holy Knight said. In fact, I felt the same way. The feeling that I would do anything to minimize the harm I might cause. Understood. Thank you for your cooperation. And as I said before, I don't make idle promises. I will fully support you and make sure Hayes doesn't try anything reckless. You can rest assured that there's no need to worry about Haze's potential danger. Still, thanks to the head of the Holy Knight's firm declaration, I was able to calm my anxiety, even if just a little. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it, because I told you that with this guy, I think you only had like 2 chapters. And that was it. We probably could go to the other ones. But to be honest, I am not feeling like... I'm going to leave the link in the description, as always, for you to take a look at it. I'm not disliking it completely, but I'm not feeling like it's being engaging enough for me. Since the beginning, I keep feeling like the game is not bad, and it's probably like... It will probably be even more interesting if you actually have like the voice acting on it. But I think the way the story is being conveyed to you, I am very glad that they are doing more of the interactions than just narration. But at the same time, I'm feeling like the way the game is being conveyed to us, I'm not feeling it that it's like the best way. I don't know. I'm not feeling it. It's not getting into me. So yes, we could do the other ones, but I'm not feeling it. I think I'm going to leave it in here. But if you feel like you are interested on it and you want to see more, especially from the other 2 guys that we didn't do, then you should do it. You should try to look a bit more into it. So I'm going to leave it in here, and we're going to probably go into another one. Okay, so I'll see you soon. Thank you very much.